Are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready? Sure you're ready? All right. Let's all go down the Strand. That was good. But it wasn't good enough. So, we're going to do it again. Right, you ready? Let's all go down the Strand. Let's all go down the Strand. I'll be leader, you can march behind. Come with me and see what we can find. Let's all go down the Strand. Oh, what a happy band. All the girls and all the boys, all the smells and all the noise. So let's all go down the Strand. Have a banana, 3 magic words. But what do they mean? Where do they come from? You've probably heard the expression before. It's usually said, quite aside from the song, it's usually spoken in a cod Cockney accent. Have a banana. Doesn't work so well with a northern accent. Have a banana. Oh, you want to have a banana. Magic 3 words. But as I say, where do they come from? What do they mean? Well, when Clarence Murphy wrote that song in 1909, Let's All Go Down the Strand, he did not write in the chorus the words, have a banana. But the song was sung in the music halls, the palaces of entertainment of the time. And what happened, quite strangely and quite spontaneously, but the audiences started shouting out in the middle of the chorus, have a banana. But what gave them the right to do so? Please come on, we have a seat here, we have seats here. We have 2 seats just there, just with your name written on it. And come on through, our first guest of the evening. Here she is, Caroline. Have you brought your banana? Oh, but you will have one by the end of the evening. So the palaces of entertainment, the music halls, where there was a variety of entertainment. There was acrobats, there was conjurers, there were illusionists, but mostly there were chorus songs. And people went along to sing, just like they would spend their Friday and Saturday nights around the old Joanna, the old piano, with the family, the friends and the relatives and the neighbours, singing songs. It's true, they did in this time before the First World War. It's not a myth, as I shall prove later on. But when you're singing along at home, it's like everyone is a performer. And they would take this attitude into the music hall, so they were very active audiences. Hence, witty things would emerge, like have a banana. We get a whiff of it today in football stadiums. Sometimes someone can think of something clever and suddenly 2,000 people are singing. When Scotland played Italy once, the Scottish fans serenaded the Italian fans with deep fry your pizza, we're gonna deep fry your pizza. Or when Chelsea was beating Galatasaray, who was a Turkish team, they were beating them, they started singing, yeah sheesh, and you know it. Now, it's all very well to make funny stuff up, but what we're talking about here is informal sing-along. And tragically today, for most of the people in this country, we have lost the joy of informal sing-along. But is it gone forever? No. Do you think we can bring it back? Yes. Shall we start this afternoon? Yes. Good. This is a very academic workshop, folks. And during this workshop, we will be studying the Peter, our next guest. Come on. There you go, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. A very academic workshop. We're going to be handling the big questions like, why are some songs easy to sing along to? Why do we love to sing along? And what is it about bananas? But mostly we're just going to do a lot of sing-along this afternoon. But it is an academic workshop, so the more you sing, the more you learn. Right then. Oh, and also, I think in the back of our minds, we're going to be talking a lot about the period before the First World War, this time, the high point of the music hall and sing-along. And we're wondering, were people different then from today? And what have we lost in the process? But basically we're here to have a little sing-along. So should we have a little medley of classic choruses? You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are grey. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I love London so. But no, maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I think of her wherever I go. I get a funny feeling inside of me, just walking up and down. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I love London town. I am an antichrist. I am an anarchist. Don't know what I want, but I know how to get it. I want to destroy passers-by, 'cause I want to be anarchy. Now, how do we follow the Sex Pistols? There is only one way to follow the Sex Pistols. Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright. You look happy to please me. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow, bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, let's smile on and forever. Those are songs you know. Now for a song you may not know, but I want you to try and sing along to it as soon as you hear it. That's the challenge for you this afternoon, okay? You ready for that? It's a sweet song about a young woman making her way in the world. Her name is Susie. She works in a shoe shine shop. Susie, sitting in a shoe shine shop. All day long she sits and shines, all day long she shines and sits. Susie, sitting in a shoe shine shop. She sits and shines and shines and sits and sits and shines and shines and sits and Susie, sitting in a shoe shine shop. Well, that was quite good, but there's a few baffled faces there, so I think this is an academic workshop. The more you sing, the more you learn. So we're going to try that once more, but a tad faster. Susie, sitting in a shoe shine shop. All day long she sits and shines, all day long she shines and sits. Susie, sitting in a shoe shine shop. She sits and shines and shines and sits and sits and shines and shines and sits. Susie, sitting in a shoe shine shop. I think we need to do one more thing. I think we need to divide you up, and I'd like to hear the women singing that. Yeah? I think all women singing that. Are you ready for this? Right. And I think also, we'll do it a tad faster. Susie, sitting in a shoe shine shop. All day long she sits and shines, all day long she shines and sits. Susie, sitting in a shoe shine shop. She sits and shines and shines and sits and sits and shines and shines and sits and Susie, sitting in a shoe shine shop. Fantastic, fantastic. Time now to meet Susie's brother, Tommy. Tommy toils in a tailor shop, and all day long he fits and tucks. Everyone. Tommy, toiling in a tailor shop. All day long he fits and tucks, all day long he tucks and fits. Tommy, Tommy, toiling in a tailor's shop. He fits and tucks and tucks and fits and fits and tucks and tucks and fits and Tommy, Tommy, toiling in a tailor's shop. Way! That's the end of that one. Thank you very much, folks. Now we have, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 spare seats here. We'd be delighted if you want to come in. You'll have to separate, but if you wish a seat, do come. Just come on through. But if you're fine, that's fine to stand as well.
Very tall, so I'll try and move.
So do you feel warmed up, folks? You sang beautifully. Our next guest. Yeah, well. Now, we're trying to understand what makes some songs easy to sing along to. And of course, it's not enough just to love a song to make it easy to sing along to. As an example, do you know a song, well, of course you know a song, Life on Mars by David Bowie. So it comes on the radio, and you probably think, nice, that's a good song. We've heard it all 100 times. Can we sing along to it? Sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those brave men go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the lawman beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if you'll ever know. He's in the best-selling show. Is there life on Mars? You did well. You did really well, actually. That exercise was supposed to show how hard it is to sing along. I'm guessing you're not an average audience for singing. I'm guessing not. So what does make a song... Our next guest. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. What does make a song easy to sing along to? Well, let's go back to the time when that first song was written, Let's All Go Down the Strand, the time before the First World War. And in this country, in those years, before 1914, there were 3 million pianos in Britain. That is a huge number of pianos. That is one for every 15 people in the population. You can imagine what it was like on a Friday night. You walk down a street, every pub, do come and see, every third house, every pub, you walk past and you hear da 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 da, oi! Which you may know, Bill Bailey describes that as the Cockney intro. What do you know? Do, oi! And Bill Bailey, in a wonderful routine, he identifies the Cockney intro secretly appearing within great works of classical music. Particularly Grieg's Piano Concerto No. 1, the one that Eric Moore can play with all the notes in the right order. And it goes dee 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 dee. Oi! Quad Irap Demonstratum. And of course that's the Cockney intro, but then there's the full Pearly King intro, which is dee 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 dee. Oi, have a banana. As Bill Bailey points out. But back in Britain, in those days, 15 million pianos, 3 million pianos, one for every 15 people. And you could rent a piano just before the First World War for just a few shillings a week. So it put it within the reach of pretty much anybody. I mean, it's a very egalitarian thing to have. And the piano was the instrument of choice for singing along to. Banjos were used, accordions were used, but pianos were most prevalent. And the thing to remember that this was a time when if you wanted music, the music had to be live. Radio had not come. There were gramophones, but the recordings were quite stilted. When the microphones arrived in the 1920s, you could then change your way of singing. You could start crooning. You know, all that crooning about. Also, microphones and recordings brought arrangements. And suddenly music, sort of from the 20s onwards, became something you listened to rather than took part in. And we should remember also, I'm dealing very much with popular music here, not classical music, because the bulk of people were engaged more with popular music. And it was popular. The music hall in London, before the First World War, every week 1 million tickets were sold to the music hall. You take a town like Burnley, the two main music halls in Burnley seated 7,000 people. 5% of the town's population filled every night going to the music hall. It was a massive, massive business. And it was driven by songs, because the core of the music hall were the chorus songs. But two other businesses were also driven by songs. The sheet music business. Now, as we know, there are two types of music. There's good music and there's sheet music. It was a big business. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appearing all week. Well, appearing Wednesday next door, but more about that later. The sheet music, huge business. Do you remember Pennies from Heaven? You know, that great old Potter thing with the songs, which that got me into this, I think, when I was quite young when that came out. Pennies from Heaven, the songs. But the sheet music business, massive business. And the third business, the piano business. They were mostly built in Kentish Town in North London, just round where from I live. And still to this day, you see the huge old piano factories there. So, yes, you know Ruth, don't you? Yes. So three huge businesses driven by songs with a currency. So there was a massive pressure and incentive for people to write good songs that worked. So what kind of songs were they? Well, let's sing one. Let's sing a classic music hall song from 1867, which I don't think one word will be changed since the original score from 1867. Once I was happy, but now I'm forlorn, like an old coat, what is tattered and torn. Left in this wide world to fret and to mourn, betrayed by a maid just out of her teens. Oh, the girl that I loved, she was handsome. I did all I could her to please, but I could not please her 1/4 so well as the man on the flying trapeze. Oh, he flies through the air with the greatest of ease, that daring young man on the flying trapeze. His movements are graceful, all girls he does please, and my love he stole away. He'd play with each maid like a cat with a mouse. His eyes would undress every girl in the house. Perhaps he is better described as a louse, but the people, they came just the same. Or he'd smile from his perch on the people below, and one night he smiled on my love. She blew him a kiss and hollered, bravo, as he hung from his perch up above. Oh, he flies through the air with the greatest of ease, that daring young man on the flying trapeze. His movements are graceful, all girls he doth please, and my love he stole away. One night to his tent he invited her in, and filled her with compliments, kisses, and gin, and started her off on the road to ruin. Since then I have had no repose. In soul I still loved her. I said, take my name, I'll gladly forgive and forget. She rustled a bustle without any shame, and said, well, maybe laters, but not yet. Oh, he flies through the air with the greatest of ease, that daring young man on the flying trapeze. His movements are graceful, all girls he doth please, and my love he stole away. One night to his tent, one night I as usual went to her dear home, and found there her father and mother alone. I asked for my love, and soon they made known to my horror that she'd run away. She'd packed up her parcel and eloped in the night with him with the greatest of ease. From 2 stories high, he'd lowered her down to the ground on his fucking trapeze. Oh, he flies through the air with the greatest Some time after that, I went back to the hall and was greatly distraught to see there on the wall a bill in red letters that made my heart gall, that she was appearing with him. He taught her gymnastics and dressed her in tights so he could live at his ease. He made her assume a masculine name, and now it's she that flies the trapeze. Oh, she flies through the air with the greatest of ease. You'd think she's the man on the flying trapeze. Her movements are graceful, all men she does please. And my love is stolen away. Thank you. Do we have one seat there? Yeah, there's a seat there if you wish to come through. Now, that was a classic song from the music hall. Untainted, unchanged, apart from one little F-bomb, since 1867. Come on round. And so what kind of songs are these songs? First question, let's look at what they're not. These songs are not artistic expressions of a personal vision. They're not really trying to make sense of a crazy, mixed-up world. They're not challenging orthodoxy. They avoid controversial areas like religion or politics. And they don't usually seek to remind people of the drudgery of everyday life. There are exceptions, of course, but this is generally. I mean, there are songs that do all those things, and it's very important that they do those songs. It's called art, you know? Well, and aspects of the folk song movement as well, protest songs and the like. And those songs, but art is not sing-along. You know, art and those songs are about revelation, about journey, about exploration, important things. But sing-along is about community and being together. Wherever you come from, accepted at the door, and the sole purpose is to sing along. And if you understand the nature of these strange things called music halls, particularly in the latter stages of the music hall, so they arrived in the early to mid 19th century, gentlemen's supper clubs, quite rowdy and stuff for a while, and then settled down and became bigger and grander through the late Victorian times. And when they reached their peak in the early 20th century, they were quite grand in terms of looks often, but very open in terms of who came in. And you would get all classes. You really would get all different classes together. You would get all ages together. Perhaps not a lot of children, but certainly young folk and older folk. And they were places that were perfectly, open to women. So in many ways there was much more gender openness there to come in. So they were curiously democratic places. One shouldn't romanticize them, because there's a lot of, obviously there's going to be bad things happening anywhere, but they were a strange experiment in time. And I'm trying to think, can one think of anything today that matches that level of integrating different classes, different groups? We live in silence. Women's football. Well, women's football is spearheading a move in that direction. But TV is one of the great equalizers we have today. We've got things like Britain's Got Talent and stuff. For me, I think the show that best brings people together from all backgrounds and stresses a common humanity, it's got nothing to do with sing-along. It's Gogglebox. It somehow captures this thing that one wants, and you watch people, and the first time you see it, oh God, and after a while you just love them, and it breaks down barriers. But essentially we have very few opportunities today to gather together. So back then, right, so you're gathering all types of people in one place, a music hall, and people worked 6 days a week in those days, so they needed distraction. You needed themes that were universal, that could appeal to everybody, whatever their background. So, as I said, look at where do we find this context today? So, we've talked about football stadiums, this is for informal singing. Football, rugby, Yes, but they're quite distinct places. Folk clubs. Now, I'm sure a lot of the people here go to folk clubs, which are probably the most glorious place to enjoy informal singing. But from a class perspective, from a Sido perspective, they could be construed as being, to a degree, socialist twilight homes. I mean, that's my kind of place. But I'll tell you, they're very different from the twilight homes I perform. I do a lot of work with the Warm and Toasty Club in Colchester, which is lovely, working with senior citizens, some with Alzheimer's and dementia, but many just elderly people. And it's a white working class community in Colchester, and you don't do the politics. And there's no point. We're there to sing along and to give people community, and it's a very hugely life-enhancing process to do. And the work with dementia is quite remarkable as well, but that's a whole different field. When you see, what usually happens is someone comes in with a carer, and the carer may be the son or the daughter, and they sit there and they're singing along, and the carer is crying because their parent has come alive for a few minutes. Neither me, it's nothing, and what's great is neither about the performer. We're just the plumber, the person who provides the words and the song and the music, and it's a very special thing. But that's a distinct area in itself, though there may be a clue in there as to why informal sing-along is so important for all of us. Other places where there is sing-along, well, churches. Churches of many faiths are kind of based on sing-along. If you're talking about the motive for people going, a lot of people love to go along for the hymns. So let's have another little medley now. I think it's time for us to do some more singing. A little gospel medley. It will start gospel, it will end campfire. Oh, when the saints go marching in, oh, when the saints go marching in, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in, swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. May the circle be unbroken, by and by, Lord, by and by. There's a better time awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I want to lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I want to lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, study 101. I ain't gotta study 101. I ain't gotta study 101. Study 101. I ain't gotta study 101. I ain't gotta study 101. Study 101. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. I wanna be in that number. When the saints go marching in. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming round the mountain, coming round the mountain, coming round the mountain when she harmonies, please. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses, riding 6 white horses, riding 6 white horses when she comes. Oh, she's got a lovely bottom set of teeth. Oh, she's got a lovely bottom set of teeth. Oh, she's got a lovely denture. She's got a lovely denture. She's got a lovely bottom set she's got a lovely mansion. She's got a lovely mansion. She's got a lovely mansion. And oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. I wanna be in that number. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Hallelujah, folks. Hallelujah. Sorry we did get a bit close to the campfire then, but smoke gets in your eyes. Smoke gets in your eyes. So why do we humans sing? Feels good. It's a nice thing to do. It's a workout of your internal organs. If you have a good sing, you will massage the places inside you that are not often reached, especially if you're using your diaphragm. And I hope you're all using your diaphragm. It makes noise. It declares we are here. We sing together informally. It can let in the lords of misrule. It can help us to bury the individual. It can help us to dissolve into a community and to make a community. Even if we don't feel our voice is very strong, if there is a good sing-along, it doesn't matter, you just join in. It ain't art, it's sing-along. This is what we're doing.
We marched 25 miles to singing. We were going on rambling.
Well, then you march and sing. So there's a clear need for singing. A clear need for singing, both for the individual and also, I would say, for society. If you were designing a society from scratch, and who hasn't fantasized about such a thing? Surely somewhere within it, you should find some place for informal singing. So this makes us think, what makes these songs so powerful? The old music hall songs of the many millions that were written back in the day and published. What makes the ones survive and, to be honest, still work? I mean, this isn't museum stuff, this. I mean, The Man on the Flying Trapeze does work with most audiences, even people who've never heard it before. I don't know why, but I'm trying to guess why. I mean, these songs are calibrated to be catchy. They're absolutely designed like smart bombs to make people sing. If you think again of the music hall, people were singing in unamplified rooms. There may be 1,000 people laughing, smoking. Drinking and eating stopped by about 1900. That was on in the early years of the music hall. But it's a tough place in which to perform. Your voice has to be incredibly strong, unamplified. And the song too, you can't be crooning, you can't be soft. You've got to be loud and big, but to have also personality. And the songs have to be both novel and familiar. An interesting combination. They've got to be novel enough to grab your attention, but they've got to be familiar enough to be easy to pick up. And it's all about the hook. And this is perhaps the key point I think I'd like to get across today, is that the hook within music hall is the words, not the music. Now I've got a mate called Dorian Ford. Here's his helicopter. Sorry. I think we're okay. Dorian's a jazz pianist, and he says all music is about the groove. Now he would say that, he's a jazz pianist, but it's an interesting way to look at all music. You've got to find the groove. To me, it makes me understand slightly why I sometimes find classical symphonies frustrating. You hear a beautiful tune, a melody, and it's just not repeated. I mean, it may be echoed by the third bassoons 20 bars later, but it's gone. I mean, I prefer Reich and Glass and the more rhythmic, but I was brought up on pop and rock music. Pop and rock, the groove is obvious, the beat, the rhythm. They might be coming to get me, so your job is to protect me, right? You are the wall of... The music hall police are relentless and they're chasing errant speakers. I'm just about to tell you about Kylie Minogue, but I'm going to hold on for just a second, if you don't mind. We're certainly not going to shut windows yet. Is it an air ambulance or something? Okay, let's carry on. So pop music is about the groove. Think of Kylie. So you think of a Kylie song, the thing that sticks in the mind is na na na, na 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 na. Beautifully calibrated thing. Even when she's using a verbal hook. I should be so lucky, 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 lucky. It's a great verbal hook, but it's still just based on rhythm and click. It's not nutritious words, and it doesn't really lead anywhere, and you probably can't remember the next words after it. I feed them, you come back, I love it. But the third line. Beyonce, Single Ladies. It's got a great verbal hook, verbal line in it. If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. Great line. But again, it's kind of rhythm. It's rhythm, it's not a whole chorus. And what we remember most about that song is the hook. I mean, not is that, but also dee 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 dee. Just like the other songs. Da 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 da. What's the song called? What is that Beyonce song called? Not Single Ladies.
It's the same one.
Is it the same one? Thank you. We have some. Yeah, it is the same song, isn't it? So, pop music. I mean, a bit like the dance band music came in the 20s and 30s, and when music was about dance, it became more about the rhythm and the music. So often you find in the old Harry Roy records in the 30s and the dance band songs, the vocal doesn't come in till the tune's been through twice. Same with EDM, electronic dance music, when it came in the 80s and 90s, it's more about the beat and the groove, not the words. Of course, at this point, someone at the back says, what about Adele? Adele and others have brought back ballads. And if you see audiences at an Adele concert, or an Ariana Grande concert or something, not that she's doing ballads, the kids are standing there, their phones are like this, filming everything, of course, but they're singing along to every single word. They know all the words. They know all the verses and the choruses. It's different a bit from what we're talking, because there's a ticket of entry there. You've got to know it, and it's not easy, but it's still lovely to see sing-along. And often you'll see young folk doing the sing-along, recording YouTubes, TikToks, based on learning the songs and singing them. But when we go back to the music hall, the only thing is the lyric. It's lovely if they've got a great tune, and of course the tunes are carefully calibrated to be catchy as well, but essentially it's about the lyric. So what makes a music hall lyric work? It starts with the title. The title of the song must be very direct. The boy I love is up in the gallery. The boy I love is looking down at me. That's an obvious one. If you were the only girl in the world, and I was the only boy. So again, you know where you are. Why am I always the bridesmaid? A little of what you fancy does you good. There's no nuance here. Compare it with jazz songs. Night and Day. What's that? What's that? My Funny Valentine. I mean, it's got the most haunting, beautiful lyric by Lorenz Hart, My Funny Valentine, but the title doesn't really give much away. Beyond the Sea. I mean, that's not the same as a music hall song like The Spaniard Who Blighted My Life. You know where you are. At which point I hear someone say, but are the songs too simple? There is an argument, not entirely without merit, that if there hadn't been an incursion of black music and syncopation, white music would have been retarded and kept at and never developed beyond how much is that doggy in the window? And there is some truth in that. But gladly, sadly, I'm not a musicologist, so I'm skating around on the surface, and you can guess this is huge, huge topics that prompt lots of thinking, discussion. But you know, the more syncopation, the more jazz you bring in, the tougher it gets to sing along to. And if our purpose is sing along and community rather than pleasure just of listening to music. And I adore Cole Porter and those songs, but I wouldn't necessarily try to bring them in to sing together. The simple songs, so take a song like Daisy Bell, which we all know, well, I'll sing it in a moment, and the tune has a complexity to it, but it's so simple, you always know where it's going to go next. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too. I'm half crazy, oh, for the love of you. It won't be a stylish marriage, I can't afford a carriage, but you'll look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle made for two. It's simple. I used to teach speech writing for years, and I always used to say, just when you're writing a speech, whatever the situation, find the simplest language you can. You must have a complexity and richness of your ideas and your thoughts. Yes, otherwise why the hell should anyone listen to you? But keep the language simple. And it's interesting how some people get trapped in a complexity of language which throws up a kind of smoke screen. I point no arrows at the world of academia in this regard, but long words exclude and disguise. So simplicity of language, simplicity of song is a good thing. Compare this to trying to sing along to Cole Porter. I love Cole Porter, but you're the tops, you're the Colosseum, you're the tops, you're the Louvre Museum, you're a melody from a symphony by Strauss, you're a Bendel bonnet, a Shakespeare sonnet, you're Mickey Mouse. Yeah, well, we get a lot of sing-along there, do we? I mean, it's great songs, they're very clever, but you don't really sing along to them. So we need a direct title, we need a simplicity of tune, and we need a direct emotion. Direct emotion, whatever the emotion is. And it's all types of emotion, that's the other thing, must be. Especially with the sad songs. An old couple are standing before the workhouse doors. There are two doors, one says men, the other says women. This was a time, an old couple, they've been together for 40 years. They realise they're so poor they can no longer support themselves. So they must throw themselves upon the state to look after them. But in so doing, in entering the workhouse, they have to separate because the men are kept apart from the women and ne'er again can meet. The wife goes in. The husband lingers. And he sings a song about the wife he's just lost. I've got a pal. She's a regular out and outer. Such a good old pal. And I'll tell you all about her. It's many years since first we met. Her hair was then as black as jet. It's whiter now, but she don't fret. Not my old Sam. We've been together now for 40 years, and it don't seem a day too much, 'cause there ain't a lady living in the land as I'd swap for my dear old Dutch. No, there ain't a lady living in the land as I'd swap for my dear old Dutch. Or another typical song like that. You may not know this one, but it's a great one. The greatest city in the world is London. At least that's what the wealthy people say. It's very nice for some who always get the plum. I only get what others throw away. It's not so nice for starving folk in winter. It's not so nice to camp it out at night. A doorstep for a bed, another for your head, and that's where you must stay till morning light. While London sleeps and all the lights are gleaming, millions of its people now lie gently dreaming. Some have no homes, and o'er their sorrows weep. Others laugh and play the game while London's fast asleep. It's a lovely song. So it's not so well known, but trust me, by the time it gets to the third verse, you're singing the chorus. And it always has a big effect. That could be a political song. So could My Old Dutch. I mean, those are really political issues. But it's not. It's not. It could be a song about charity, but it's not. I mean, poor people don't need lessons about charity. Proportionately, poor folk give more to charity than any other group, proportionate to their income. But it's a song that brings you together. It's designed to bring out some tears, or at least to have a moment of reflection. I'll See You in My Dreams is a classic in this world. It's a sort of hymn of consolation, which works well for singing. We're talking about direct emotion. Also, if the song is happy. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. Oh, I do like to be beside the sea. Oh, I do like to walk along the prom, where the brass bands play tiddly-om, pom, pom. Lovely. I'm forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air. Direct emotion. Absolutely. You know where you stand with it. And then, of course, we get to comic songs, which are a fascinating area in themselves. There's a directness, but there's also complexity. Because the humour often comes from wordplay. The title, I was a good little girl till I met you. You know where that's going. Or the best title of all, She Sits Among the Cabbages and Peas. Mary Lloyd's great song from 1907, which got a ban from the Royal Variety Performance. I hope that whoever wrote that line took the rest of the day off. She sits among the cabbages and peas. Good word, still. She'd never been there before. She'd never been there before. She felt so shy till Mr. Brown started to bounce her up and down. Then it was all serene. It filled her with delight. She'd never been there before, but now she's going there every night. She'd never been there before, but now she's going there every night. So that's a common trope in comedy songs, where you have a common comic endpoint to the chorus, and then you've got to work towards it. So you're left thinking in each verse, oh, how are they going to get to that? Oh, yeah. And you'll see that a lot with songs. I'm going to give you a little taste of a song like that. A song about ambition. Living the dream. I wanted to go on the stage, but now my ambitions I've gotten. For in pantomime, I'm all the rage. I'm the hole in the elephant's bottom. Now my part doesn't have many words. There's nothing that can be forgotten. All I do is push herds of plasticine turds through the hole in the elephant's bottom. Now the audience thinks me a wit. As they sit in the stalls, I can spot them. And I wink at the girls in the pit through the hole in the elephant's bottom. There's a hole, there's a pocket inside in the cloth for bottles of beer, if you've got them. And the audience scoff as I blow off the froth through the hole in the elephant's bottom. That is only the first bit of that song, and it goes to some amazing places. If you want to hear the whole thing, and I know you do. You come back on 3:15 on Wednesday afternoon to the Mountain Pavilion next door for a whole afternoon of sing-along called Never Mind the Frolics with me. And there'll be lots of, no talk like this, it's just grade A smut. No, humour. Sensible song. So let's think of another typical comic song. With a ladder and some glasses, you could see to Hackney Marshes if it wasn't for the houses in between. So each chorus is a skewering. It's an absurdist skewering of pretensions. And they escalate. I mean, there's so many versions of this. And by clinging to the chimney, you could see across to Windley, or if I got a rope and pulley, I could enjoy the breeze more fully. Or if your eyesight didn't fail you, you could see right to Australia. Or from a stool on the potatoes, you could see right to Barbados. So, again, it's engaging the brain. The comic songs, some engage the brain more than others. Sister Susie's sewing shirts for soldiers. Judge Skiller's sewing shirts are young Sister Susie shows. Some soldiers send epistles, say they'd sooner sleep in thistles than the saucy soft short shirts for soldiers Sister Susie sews. I mean, it's like the panto, you've got the words and the bouncing ball going across the top. That's a great one to do. World War I. Lots of songs like that from the time. You can't get many pimples on a pickled pound of pork, 1915. Which switch is the switch miss for Ipswich? And my favourite, well, I like the title, I don't know the song very well. Are your size the same size as my size? Which brings us to World War I. World War I is a massive, massive area to talk about with popular song, because it was the apogee of the music hall in some ways. And the war started with lots of jingoistic songs coming into the halls. Be a soldier, be a man. Because of course the war would be over by Christmas. But it wasn't over by Christmas. And the PALS battalions didn't return, and there were gaps in communities, workplaces, villages. And the songs changed. But the recruiting songs changed in a slightly creepy way. If you've seen Oh Brother, not Oh Brother, World, I mean Oh What a Lovely War,
Yes.
that really scary recruiting song. We don't want to lose you, but we think you ought to go. Ooh, really creepy stuff. And later, the songs in the halls got away from all that, and there were songs about home and family. And there weren't any anti-war songs, really. Many, until I found one. A glorious anti-war song that came out of America. And it never really made it over to Britain. I didn't raise my boy to be a soldier. I brought him up to be my pride and joy. Who dares to place a musket on his shoulder to shoot some other mother's darling boy? Let nations arbitrate their future troubles. It's time to lay the sword and start a gun away. There'd be no war today if mothers all would say, I didn't raise my boy to be a soldier. So there you've got all the skills of writing a music hall song used for a very good purpose, but they didn't do politics in those days. I mean, it's a big area to go into that. I'm just skating on the surface of that. But the World War songs, oh God, we're running out of time. This is not fair. There's so much to tell you about. We've got a wonderful medley. Oh, let's just do a couple of quick songs. When this lousy war is over, no more soldiering for me. When I get my civvy clothes on, oh, how happy I shall be. passes up his roses are shining in Piccadilly, in the hush of the silvery dew. Roses are flowering in Piccadilly, but there's never a rose like you. And the roses will die with the summertime, and our roads may be far apart, but there's one rose that dies not in Piccadilly. 'Tis the rose that I keep in my heart. World War I songs still are the most powerful war songs. And they're amazingly well known for young folk as well. A real consolation, hymns of consolation. But I know what you're probably thinking at this point. What about bananas? What about bananas? And I promise. So, bananas, we have a banana. Let's all go down the Strand. Have a banana. Thank you. That's the... Have you noticed my... Yeah, it's an art object up here. The banana appears in a number of songs. Well, it's a retort. It comes in like a retort. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I love London, so have a banana. Oh, what a beauty. I've never seen one as big as that before. Have a banana. You see, it fits into beautiful. Dr. Grandma. It's just like your uncles. But then there are also songs about bananas. Yes, we have no bananas. Oh, we have no bananas today. That's one. Another one, a very popular one in the 30s was, I've never seen a straight banana. So why was it such a big thing in the early 1900s? Well, let me tell you. The first banana arrived in England in 1888, but very few made it, because they don't survive very well. The arrival of the banana truly in this country was the year 1900, when refrigerated container ships made the journey from the Caribbean to Britain, and the banana, this which fragile beast that doesn't survive ocean passage, could survive in containers, refrigerated containers. And the banana arrived around 1900 and became this unbelievably exotic symbol of the exotic. Yellow, fruity, looks a bit naughty, and has this wonderful name, banana, which is perfect for lyrics and stuff like that. And why the Strand? The Strand. Why the Strand? I think you ask. Well, there are various theories as to this, and sadly there's not time for me to sing my other lovely song, which is Strolling Down the Strand with a banana in my hand. But I will be singing that on Wednesday afternoon. Never mind the frolic. Thank you. There was a banana workshop, a banana warehouse. Paging Dr. Freud. There was a banana warehouse and a banana, it was in 7 Dials, near Covent Garden, not far from the Strand. It was not just bananas, it was cucumbers as well. So it was a real house of innuendo. And as we all know, innuendo is the Italian word for suppository. Appearing all week. So we reached the end of our time together, this brief hour in each other's company's academic workshop. As to look at very serious things. Some final words. I'm going to go to Colin McInnes, who wrote Absolute Beginners and was a sort of cultural commentator of the 60s. And he wrote in 1967 in a wonderful book called Sweet Saturday Night, a book about popular music in the music hall. And he was looking at these people back in the 1900s and this informal sing-along of the times. And he was asking the English people of all classes, he wasn't asking, he was saying, or pondering, were more robust then than they are now. We may be wiser, and we're certainly more disillusioned, and we may have greater material wealth, but I doubt we are indeed happier. He thought the key to happiness then was informal singing. He thought the key to robustness was informal singing. It's more complex than that, of course, but there is something in it. I mean, it brings us together, it makes us feel good. So, I hope that this has been an interesting little taste of what happens. I don't have any merchandise for you, because sadly my merchandise doesn't quite fit the theme. I've got Human Cargo, Songs and Stories of Emigration, Slavery and Transportation, my book. It doesn't work. The Transports doesn't quite work, so I won't be selling you anything today, but I do have a mailing list. There's one here and there's one at the back. Do sign up. Do sign up for my mailing list. Every 2 weeks I send you specially curated collections of offers to enhance your mail. No, I don't. There's no spam, it's only jam. A very infrequent newsletter with fun, and I may be coming to where you are. And indeed, the show is available for folk clubs and venues that may be interested in this, and music hall. If you're interested in that, do get in touch. Do pop down, and I'm also going to write a book. Yes, I've decided, called Have a Banana, which will cover these themes in a hugely academic way, but more importantly, will include lots of simple sing-along medleys with dots and just things to guarantee to get a group going. So do sign up if you wish. Do join us at 3:15 on Wednesday afternoon for Have a Banana, me plus Michael Hebbert on concertina. And thank you for truly being the most beautiful, wonderful audience. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Yes, of course.